Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Miranda, and I am the Enchantress of Avalon. So for today's video, we are going to be looking at mirrors and at the folkloric and actual magical practices surrounding them. So, mirrors have been used in magical practices for forever, basically. And this is why we have mirrors being used in magical practices in famous examples from fairy tales. Of course, there is the classic Snow White example of the Wicked Queen and mirror, mirror on the wall, and what have you. And there are a lot of beliefs surrounding mirrors that will, of course, have folkloric origins. There are people that believe that mirrors could steal a piece of your soul. There are people who believe that mirrors are windows into the soul, and that's where we get this whole, again, this fairy tale and folkloric literary perspective of walking through a mirror into a new universe. And we, of course, see that very famously in the second Alice in Wonderland book, Alice Through the Looking Glass. She gets to this universe through the looking glass, through a mirror. And the whole idea of a mirror universe is also utilized in Coraline. It's not necessarily jumping through a mirror, but the whole energy of another mother, the other mother, is very much this whole idea of the mirror universe being very similar, but distorted in some way. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about actual mirrors that have magical properties. The mirror I was holding was just an antique hand mirror, but there are mirrors that can be used to gaze into for self-reflection, shadow work, divination, and even astral transport to other realms. Traditionally, these are black mirrors, and even more traditionally, they are made from obsidian. Obsidian is a lava rock that solidifies into a very shiny crystal that you're able to gaze into. Although any black crystal can work, and really any blackened mirrored surface can work if you're looking to just see what you can divine through staring into this mirror. And how do mirrors relate to what I talk about on this channel besides the fairy tale element to it? Well, mirrors relate to connection astrally with other realms. That could also include the realms of fairy. So it could be thought of as this mirror is literally becoming a portal into fairy. Yeah, it's not just walking into a fairy ring or going into a hollowed hill to find the fae folk or finding a portal to fairy underneath a body of water. Those are all real folkloric ways in which someone can get to fairy. But gazing into a mirror can also do that. And I want to also acknowledge that when ice freezes, like on a lake, because again, lakes, the underside of lakes can be portals to fairy. That's why we have lake maidens and the like. But when that ice freezes, it becomes like a silvered mirror. So, and scrying within water is also a way of divining knowledge. So that's all interconnected. I feel that water divination and mirror scrying can be seen as similar acts of magical nature. And another way that it's connected, that mirrors and mirror magic are connected to content on this channel, is the Lady of Shalott. So The Lady of Shalott is an Arthurian tale of a young girl, a young woman who is set to making these tapestries by looking in a mirror, and she can't ever look at the outside world, only at the mirror. And she's weaving tapestries. And in some versions, I think she's also painting paintings based on what she sees in the mirror. But she's never to look actually out the window until one day she sees Lancelot. Of course, she sees Lancelot, and he is just so attractive and beguiling to her. She cannot help herself but to turn away from the mirror and look directly out the window at him. And when she does, she falls hopelessly in love. And I do say hopelessly for good reason, because her story isn't a positive one. When she took her gaze off the mirror cracked. And of course, this is symbolic of breaking of illusions. And now she sees the world as it truly is, but she's also madly in love with Lancelot. So she decides to leave this tower where she has been safely kept for her entire life, basically. Very similar to a Rapunzel type energy there. And she gets on a boat and she tries to sail to Camelot. Of course, she very sadly dies while on this boat. And the Lady of Shalott, both within her tower and in the boat, as she's sailing away and slowly dying for want of Lancelot and the desire to reach Camelot, were big with the Pre-Raphaelite movement. They painted her a lot. Although probably the most famous portrait of the Lady of Shalott actually comes from John Waterhouse, who painted the gorgeous portrait of her. This famous portrait of her in a boat sailing away. Actually, I think my one book that I have right here has it on the cover. Oh, it does. That is the painting I'm talking about. It's probably the most iconic portrait of the Lady of Shalott. And Waterhouse was an artist in the Pre-Raphaelite style, but he was a later artist, so he wasn't technically part of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. Little art fact there. But it's still that energy of the magic held within mirrors. It's intrinsic to her story. The mirror shows a world and shows knowledge not contained within this world, but it can also cause illusions to the point of delusion, where you're not getting the full scope of the picture. And for the Lady of Shalott, only upon when the mirror cracks does she begin to understand the realities of the world. Of course, she ends up dying a sad death, but it doesn't make the power of her mirror any less so. And it doesn't make the fact that she's finally waking up to reality any less powerful. In fact, it probably makes it more powerful that she's gone past the illusion and into the reality. So, what does that mean about us and how we use mirrors? In the modern day, mirrors are usually utilized for utility purposes. We're looking at them to see our reflection. How do I look today? And probably to preen a bit, like, oh, I look good. Or what if I do this? What if I angle my head that way? And so on and so forth. They're showing us some forms of truth of our physical appearance, but we've lost that connection to what they could be what they could mean more deeply. And why was it the case that a lot of people believed that there was something negative associated with mirrors? Why was there a fear of them? Why are there traditions especially I believe this was big in the Victorian period, of covering mirrors when someone had died. The covering the mirrors is again that portal between realms. You would cover the mirrors because the mirrors were portals between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead. Just like they could be portals between the realm of humans and the realm of the Fae. They're veils that just, if we just cross that veil a little bit, we could go into another realm. And also, other beings could get into our realm. And so the tradition of covering your mirrors with cloth when someone had passed away was to encourage that person to find peace, encourage their spirit to find peace, as opposed to coming back and trying to remain in this realm and taking on the form of a ghost. And it's also, I think, connected to why, if you gaze into a black mirror, it could show you some innate truths about yourself. It could open up it can open you up to new knowledge about yourself. That's why some people do use them for shadow work. I did mention that briefly earlier. The usage of mirrors as an energetic portal into your own shadows, and the usage of this shining surface to heal some past traumas that might be contained within you. It is a form of healing. So, like with anything that I've ever associated with the Fae, there are incredibly positive attributes, but also negative ones when it comes to mirrors. Now, some of this could be due to a fear of vanity. Mirrors, of course, in the modern day are perceived to be these instruments of vanity, and they can be used for that. But I hope that this video also tells you that there's so much more, and that there is a lot of positive to be gained from mirror gazing, even if you're not looking to do anything other than look in the mirror. Maybe it'll let you notice other things about yourself. But again, remember the Lady of Shalott, that mirror can only show you so much if all you're doing is staring in the mirror. We need to live in the present world as well. So I think all of these stories with mirrors that I've mentioned today, and all of this that I've ruminated on as I've been making this video, proves that mirrors are very powerful, and they can be powerful tools to help us. But like with anything powerful, we need to use a little bit of moderation with them. Again, whether they're magical or just mundane hand mirrors. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out my blog, whiteroseofavalon.life. I will link some blog posts that relate to elemental mirror magic down in the description box below. And I will also link my Discord server for those who might want to chat with me and gain a better understanding of my philosophies, so to speak, or just chat about interesting topics. And I did recently add a donations page to my blog. So if you are so inclined, I do humbly ask for small one-time donations just to help support my ability to continue creating content. Again, if you are able or willing. So have a very fantastic Mirror Magic Monday. Bye now.